Football creates stars, champions, and even legends, but only a few players in history step beyond the sport and carve their names into the political and social fabric of a nation. Didier Drogba is one of those rare figures. His goals dazzled Europe. His leadership lifted Chelsea to unforgettable finals. Yet his most powerful contribution came far from Stamford Bridge. In a simple changing room in Sudan, surrounded by teammates covered in sweat and hope, Drogba delivered a message that silenced guns in his homeland. This is the remarkable story of how a footballer became a symbol of unity in a divided Ivory Coast. A nation torn apart, the Civil War in Ivory Coast. In 2002, Ivory Coast plunged into a devastating civil war that split the country along ethnic, political, and regional lines. The north fell under the control of rebel forces, while the south remained under government authority. Towns were divided, supply chains collapsed, and citizens faced daily violence. Entire communities were uprooted, and families were separated for years. The crisis was not just political. It was emotional and deeply personal, tearing the social fabric apart. For the ordinary citizens, the idea of peace felt like a distant dream. Amid this darkness, football remained the one shared passion that still connected Ivorians from all sides. The rise of a golden generation. During the same turbulent years, Ivory Coast produced one of the greatest football squads Africa had ever seen. This golden generation was filled with extraordinary talent playing in Europe's elite leagues. Didier Drogba became the face of the team, supported by players like Kolo Touré, Emmanuel Eboué, Aruna Dindan, and the young but rapidly rising Yaya Touré. They carried the hopes of a fractured nation on their shoulders. Every match they played represented more than points in a group stage. It represented unity, pride, and a brief escape from the chaos at home. Their success became a symbol of what Ivory Coast could achieve together, the battle for World Cup qualification. Qualifying for the 2006 World Cup was a dramatic journey for the Ivorians. They found themselves locked in a nail-biting race against Cameroon, 1 point ahead at the top of their group. Ivory Coast defeated Sudan 3-1 in their final match, doing everything they could on their end. But qualification depended on Cameroon's result against Egypt. If Cameroon won, they would qualify. If they failed to collect 3 points, Ivory Coast would reach the tournament for the first time in its history. Tension gripped the nation as Ivorians waited for the result, hoping for a miracle. The missed penalty that changed everything. In the dying minutes of Cameroon's match, the score remained 1-1. Then, deep into stoppage time, Cameroon was awarded a penalty. Pierre Womé stepped up to take it, with the hopes of millions resting on his shoulders. When he struck the ball, it swerved past the post and missed the goal by inches. With that miss, Ivory Coast's dream became reality. Across the country, celebrations erupted. People danced in the streets of Abidjan, cheered in the cafes of Bouaké, and rejoiced in villages still scarred by conflict. The national team had achieved the impossible. But for Drogba and his teammates, the victory carried a deeper meaning, a dressing room message that echoed across a nation. Shortly after the qualification celebrations, news reached the team about fresh violence erupting back home. Even in their moment of glory, the civil war still loomed. In a small dressing room in Omdurman, Drogba gathered the entire team. Surrounded by players from different regions, religions, and backgrounds, he stepped forward to speak. With cameras rolling and microphones trembling in reporters' hands, Drogba delivered a powerful plea to the nation. He urged Ivorians to lay down their weapons, stop the bloodshed, and hold democratic elections. His teammates knelt around him in solidarity, creating an unforgettable image of unity. The message was heartfelt, spontaneous, and sincere. How Drogba's speech sparked a peace movement. When the speech aired on television and radio across Ivory Coast, something extraordinary happened. People stopped what they were doing to listen. Rebels heard it in their camps. Government supporters heard it in their cities. Families heard it in their homes. For the first time in years, there was a moment of silence, not from fear, but from hope. Drogba's words resonated deeply. He wasn't a politician or a military leader. He was a national hero who rose from the same soil as the people. His plea forced both sides of the conflict to reconsider their positions and pushed political leaders towards the negotiation table. Weeks later, formal peace talks began, and by 2007, the warring factions signed a peace agreement. Bouaké, the symbolic match that united a nation. The following year, Ivory Coast was scheduled to play a crucial African Nations Cup qualifier. Instead of holding the match in Abidjan, the government made a bold decision. They relocated it to Bouaké, the symbolic heart of the rebellion. Many feared violence, but Drogba supported the idea strongly. He believed that football could unite places where politics had failed. When the team arrived, they were welcomed by thousands of fans, rebels, civilians, and government supporters standing side by side. In that match, Drogba scored Ivory Coast's fifth goal in a stunning 5-0 victory. The celebrations were unlike anything the country had seen in years. For one day, Bouaké was not a battleground, but a stadium of hope. The unexpected political influence of a football star. Drogba's impact did not fade after the match. In Abidjan, buses carried posters that read, "Merci Didier," Didier the Great, and even Drogba for president. Although he never pursued political office, he soon found himself advising national leaders. The prime minister consulted him on matters of public sentiment and reconciliation. People from all corners of Ivory Coast trusted him, even if they disagreed with their own politicians. Drogba understood the responsibility that came with his influence. He used his voice to encourage forgiveness, unity, and progress rather than division. He became an unofficial ambassador for peace, representing hope more powerfully than any political speech could. Legacy beyond football, Drogba's continued contributions. While his football achievements made him famous, Premier League titles, FA Cups, Champions League glory, it was his humanitarian work that defined his legacy in Ivory Coast. Through the Didier Drogba Foundation, he helped build hospitals, support education, and provide relief in communities devastated by war. He frequently reminded young Ivorians that unity and cooperation mattered far more than tribal or regional differences. His story became a lesson in leadership, courage, and compassion. Even after retiring from professional football, Drogba remained an active voice for development and stability. His contribution to peace became a permanent part of the nation's history. Why the Drogba story still matters today. Drogba's story is a reminder that influence carries responsibility. In today's world where public figures are often criticized for speaking up, Drogba represents the opposite. A celebrity who used his platform wisely. His intervention didn't end the conflict alone, but it created a spark that changed the country's trajectory. His actions show that leadership sometimes comes from unexpected places. A footballer may not have the authority of a president, but he can have something far more powerful, the trust of the people. Drogba's courage proves that even the loudest storms of violence can quieten when someone dares to speak from the heart. The goal that saved a nation. Didier Drogba scored hundreds of goals in his career, but none were as important as the message he delivered in Sudan. His plea for peace became the turning point that brought Ivorians together. It was not a goal celebrated with fireworks or trophies. It was celebrated with silence, relief, and the first steps toward reconciliation. Drogba will forever be known as a football legend, but in Ivory Coast, he is something much greater, a national hero who helped heal a broken country. His story stands as proof that sometimes the most powerful victories are won far away from the field. If this video inspired you, moved you, or taught you something new, tap the like button to support the channel, hit subscribe to stay with us, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.